the only game we really have on the dock for this week.
It's a good one. It's one we haven't really had a good chance to talk about. We've all played
you
it now,
talked it.
haven't we?
Well, no, think Phoenix talked. You talked about it, but that was only you by yourself. And I don't think Gamers played it, so I think me and you.
Oh, well, never mind.
I want to play it.
Well, I am curious about your.
You could borrow my copy, Gamer, next time you come down. I mean, I don't care. But yeah. So I finally got to kind of play it. I tried to. I don't know. I was feeling in the mood after knocking out Super Mario RPG. After I don't know. It was kind of my other holiday game that I kind of chose to play. So I chose this game. I wish I would have watched your impression video prior to this, so I could have seen what topics.
Stolen my opinion.
Yeah, we'll seen what stuff you already like nailed on, but ultimately I ended up thinking it was very fun. I very much enjoyed it. It's not exactly the most it's not like a huge gigantic leap in evolution for Mario to me. Like, it has the added, what is it, the Wonder Seeds? That's like the one big game mechanic that's kind of unique and kind of brings this game its own kind of flavor, I guess. And ultimately I felt like it was fun. It does enough, I guess, with that one game mechanic, but I guess for me, the one big thing I took away from this game is it ended up feeling, I don't know, I don't want to say bland, but it ended up, I don't know, it didn't feel as different as like 3D World or anything. I don't know, I don't know. When I think back, going back to 3D World, I felt like there was more variety in terms of the different worlds, and each world didn't just look different, but it like almost functioned differently. And I feel like they tried to do that here, but it wasn't, for me, it just wasn't enough. I don't know. But
interesting. I mean, there's parts of that I agree with. I don't know. I'm hesitant to call this bland. I think by the very nature, it's hard to call this game bland. Like, when I think of a bland Mario game, the new Super Mario Bros. Comes to mind, right? I think that's why a lot of people kind of fell off 2D Mario for a real long time. Like, what is it, on the Wii? Is that when New Super Mario Brothers first kind of came out?
Came out for the 3DS, but
I don't even think I played that one.
I think it was Wii first.
They did a Wii version.
And then there was a 3DS version. There were two 3DS versions, I think. I can't recall exactly. There was a Wii U version. Like, there was a lot of new Super Mario Bros. As far as like the 2D Mario. And I'll tell you, I think that already kind of started out a little bland. It was kind of like I don't know, just the generic version of Mario, if that makes sense. And I think that art style and kind of gameplay kind of stretched for a really long time. So honestly, going from that to this, it's a pretty big breath of fresh air. I thought the wonder mechanics were good. I thought there was good variety in the levels. Like, the levels wasn't, or at least the level design was never my issue with the game. Honestly, I enjoyed my time with it. I can't remember exactly what I commented on prior. I don't want to retread too much ground. I think my biggest issue with the game is there were a lot of comparisons to it, to Super Mario World, which is fair. And I think maybe it's just that a little bit of, I don't want to say like review bias, like, or maybe a bit of hype. Like, you hear that. Like, for me, Super Mario World is still my favorite Mario. Like, 3 and World are kind of like right there next to each other.
I feel like so nostalgia World is, purely nostalgia reasons.
Like, I guess my thing is, like, when I hear that, it gets me relatively excited to play this, because I'm like, okay, it's the next kind of reincarnation of Mario World, and it's not. So I think that just kind of dropped me down a little bit. Like, it's good, and there's definitely like notes that do hit that Super Mario Super Mario World feel, and like the aesthetic I think almost matches a little bit better. But when I think about Mario World, like, what I always take away from it, maybe it was because I was a kid and I was kind of blown away at it at the time, like the secrets and like the mystery. Like, it was hard to find secret exits. Like, you didn't just stumble upon them. Like, the game didn't just say, hey, there's a secret exit over here. You had to work and explore. Like, I actually went back and played Mario World a couple of years ago to say, like, I'm going to go through and 100% it. I found exits I didn't even know existed. I played that game like ad nauseum for decades at this point. So this game, it tries to do that kind of stuff, but it holds your hand a little too much. Maybe that's what you mean by bland. Like, everything still feels kind of safe. I think the game kind of went to this
maybe safe is a better word.
Everything.
Yeah.
they want to make everything very balanced and accessible, which is great from a gameplay perspective. Like you have characters you can play as that literally can't die except for falling down a pit. So if you're playing like want to play with my daughter, that's great. But like there's a lot of little notes like that. I think put together, I don't know, it did feel like it was missing that something. I don't know, that mystery or that exploration aspect maybe. I also felt like it was missing the difficulty aspect. Like Mario World could get very hard, especially when we got to some of the special worlds and whatnot. Nothing in here. I mean, I didn't play the very last level yet. I know there's like a gauntlet level again where they kind of put you through the paces. None of the primary levels I thought got real tricky. They're all moderately challenging at best for those who are familiar with, Mario games.
Like, really, yeah, I would agree with you. Difficulty wise, I didn't think anything. And I'm like, I am not skill man, video gamer McGee. I am like, I'm the worst of the worst when it comes to like.
Skill man McGee.
I am the worst when it comes to like, I don't know, skill oriented games. But even for me, I don't think this was that brutal. There was. You're right though. I'm trying to remember. There was up in the clouds. There was like a hidden area where you had to approach it from three different directions, and once you beat each of those, then you unlock something in the very middle.
Yeah,
those
special world.
Those external three things were like by far the hardest things in the game, and I think only one of them I didn't beat. And but I mean, I don't know. I
didn't even think they were that hard on the scale of Mario, like 2D Mario difficulty. They're mostly mid-ish too. There's a couple of ones I'd say are honestly challenging. And once again, I'm not trying to toot my own horn either, but I think if you play Mario games like relatively extensively, like you played most of them, you spent a little bit of time with them, you're not going to encounter many like high difficulty spikes here, which is fine. I think for those who are wanting that though, I don't know, it's a little lacking. And as I think the game just holds your hand a little too much. Like you can go back to every level and it highlights what you missed, like in great detail. It tells you pretty much is there a secret exit and did you find it? Which I didn't like that. I don't know. Like it's nice for those who I guess are trying to find an easy way to complete a game, but as it takes away the mystery. I like just trying to fly up in a weird area of the map, and then I find a key, and I can find the keyhole later on. Once again, Mario World kind of stuff. But this game doesn't quite do that all the time.
That may have been the only purpose for those little flowers being there, because every time you run by one, if you're missing something, one of them will say, "Hey, are you missing something? Oh, you forgot something.
There.
Oh, look up." Yeah, it's. I will say that's probably the biggest thing for me that I enjoyed from this game is like Mario games are always kind of cutesy and adorable and stuff, and I felt like this one had a ton of personality, which that's by far probably the thing I enjoyed the most was hearing all of the music. Like it had a lot of musical sections, which were really cool. But yeah, those were fun. I mean, every time you kind of activate a Wonder Seed, you get the gosh, I forgot the sound that pops up. It says, no, never. I'm not even gonna try. But I don't know. That was by far the best thing I took away, at least. I'm surprised though you don't think the areas were bland, because I feel like we've seen some of these like sections on like
Maybe
the board before.
Okay, so yes, I mean,
but I guess you could say that for every Mario game.
Refreshed. Yeah, like, okay, so like you had the lava world, which that's standard in every Mario game.
Pink Cloud World.
This was done a little different.
Desert,
it was like underground, which I thought was cool. The desert had like a palacey kind of thing built in. I don't know, it was not like completely different, but it wasn't exactly the same either. It was a refresh, is what it was. I'm not gonna say it reimagined everything, but honestly, for me, just the change in art style helped a lot. I really like this almost.
I liked the art style.
Not quite painted, but I don't know. It really fit well. It made everything feel a little more happy. I don't know if that's maybe the best qualifier there, but I don't know. It felt good to play. It looked good to play. One thing I wish I would have spent a little more time with were the badges. Like, there's like 3 categories of badges you can get. Some that make the game easier, some that give you more like skill-based modifiers, and then some that's plain made the game hard. Like you could, I guess this is where
it's like skull, like the skull modifiers in Halo or something.
Yeah. And I guess maybe that's where Nintendo thought that people who want the difficulty are going to get it from. They turn on some of these badges, but I thought some of them were a little too gimmicky to want to use them at that level. Like one turns you invisible as a character, so you had to just kind of figure out where you were on the level, which, yeah, that made it hard, but I wouldn't want to play many levels like that. So I don't know. But I think the idea to have those badges was fun.
And I guess I will say, like, Another mild disappointment, I guess, for me would be like some of the boss battles weren't. I don't actually now that I think about it. None of
Oh
the boss
yes.
battles were hard at all. Like the Bowser Jr.
They were
sections
almost
were.
all baby Bowser, Bowser Jr. Like besides Bowser at the end, which at
He
the
wasn't
end you
that
would
hard
pretty much just
either.
fight him in castle form. Yeah, it was
Hmm.
all Bowser Jr. fights, and those were not great. I was really hoping we'd see how the Koopalings return. Or I don't know, something else. I think you're right. The boss battles, especially when I compare it to Mario World, which I mean, not all of them were incredible, but there was variation to all the boss battles, and you had like mini bosses like Reznor, wasn't it? And was it King Boo was kind of floating around? And like you had some cool things to find and fight. This game didn't have much of that, so that once again was a little bit lacking.
Now that I think about it, there were a couple sections that stood out to me. I gotta try and remember. I remember one of them is Mario. I think with a Wonder Seed, he actually turns into a what is it? What are the little mushroom fellas? Is it Koopa? It's just a
Oh,
Koopa,
the
right?
Goomba. Yeah.
Goomba. There you go. There's actually a fun one where you actually turn into a Goomba and you can only jump like this high and you can only move like a mile an hour. That was pretty fun. There was one in particular I remember, a couple in particular, where like you get constantly rained down of stars, and like
Mhm.
it's all dependent on your skill to like keep your star power going all the way throughout them. Um, I don't know. There was a couple like standout ish ones like I thought were pretty fun.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I think nerfs this or kind of neuters the experience a little bit if you spent any time with it. The Mario Maker games, like if
I was
you
gonna
really
mention
dug
that
into
earlier.
those,
I forgot about him.
like I think this game did a good job of trying to introduce some new mechanics that don't exist in those Maker games. But if you're, I don't know, for the past, well, however long, a decade now since we've had those games, we've kind of become spoiled because you have millions of people now, maybe not millions, I don't know how big the player base is anymore, but a huge community that's constantly still coming up with crazy, ingenious levels. Like I got really big into watching a lot of Mario Maker players for all like Pooh Bear and stuff like that. Like there's some cool stuff they do and some cool levels that they get into that
Well, you can
this game is visually new, but mechanically, I still think stuff in that is done better, more interestingly.
just find like your perfect medium of like, are you looking for crazy difficulty? Then you can find that. Are you looking for downright wacky? You can find that. Or are you looking for easier levels? And it's like you get like your perfect balance
There's
of
like
what you want.
puzzle things in there, escape rooms, like it's gone crazy. If nobody here has ever checked out the Mario Maker community, like if you don't like playing Mario, watch some of these streamers, some of the stuff they do. There's some crazy levels out there, and it really makes you kind of reimagine what a Mario game can be to a certain
I
extent.
bet you
So
those games. I bet you those games 20 years from now are still gonna have communities like the Mario
yeah, as
Makers.
long as there's some level of support there, right? As long as like servers don't go down and whatnot. I mean, I think people still play Mario Maker 1, even though 2's out, because there's certain the mechanics that has. So I think Mario, at least from Nintendo's perspective, is always going to have a bit of an uphill battle now, trying to top those games, because now they're trying to fight the creativity of their entire player base, right? So I think they did a good job here. It definitely took it in some cool ways. There are some cool new mechanics they introduced here. I either want to see them double down on stuff like this a little more next time. Definitely bring back some of the mystery that I think it was lost in this game. And I don't
Was
know. I think there's definitely room to still grow with this art style and
was
whatnot. So I
Elephant
want to see them
Mario
do
a
it.
new thing? Or was that
Yeah,
previously? Oh, okay.
no, it's new. I thought Elephant Mario was fine. I wasn't my favorite power up by any means. Man, I want the cape to come back. Man, it's just my Mario World bias coming through, but I don't know. I definitely want to see where they take this. I'm not sure if I want to see a Mario Wonder 2 necessarily. I think I'd just like to see them refresh it again and keep the whole ball moving as far as trying new stuff. But this was a good, solid entry.
Yeah, it was a bit short. I feel like I finished it under 10 hours.
That's about regular length though for a Mario game. I mean, if not even a little long in some cases. Like if you're playing every level trying to find all the exits. Like I went back and I just about 100%ed all the levels. There's only one or two I didn't, and it probably took me I don't know, maybe 15 hours. So not a huge game, but I don't think any 2D Mario game's ever been overly lengthy.
The cool thing about Mario for me is that I don't know, when I was younger, Mario was never a franchise I was big on. Like when I was big into Nintendo, I was always a Pokemon guy. Pokemon was always the ones I was playing when I was younger. And for some reason, the Marios I played in small portions, but never got big into 3 or World or even Super Mario Land, which is one of my more favorite ones. I liked it, but it wasn't. I don't know. The cool thing is, the last like handful of years, I feel like maybe I'm becoming more of a child the older I get. I think I'm aging in reverse.
That's for sure.
I'm aging in the opposite direction. But
I get what you're saying.
I'm enjoying Mario games more than I do when I was younger. Like now, it's like I can sit down with Wonder and have a good time, or I'll play RPG. I loved 3D World when I played that with Bowser's Fury. Like I don't know, I'm getting far more joy out of Mario now than I did when I was a kid, which I think that says something cool about Mario.
Oh, sure. No, Mario, I think, just has this universal appeal. Like, I was definitely, quote unquote, more hardcore into Mario when I was younger. That's probably the wrong term to use. But I think partly is like when you're a
Mario
kid, you only have like
tattoo.
3 games, right? Yeah, like my first game on the Super Nintendo was Mario World. I woke up, my mom had it up and running, so when I woke up, I could just hop in. I'm still mad because she like played the first level and beat it without me being awake. But I played that game like until my fingers bled. Just about found every secret. Well, I thought I found every secret, but I don't know. Nowadays, I like to hop back into Mario. I don't ever spend like months and months playing the game nonstop like some people will, but I always like when new Mario games comes out. It's a fun week or so. I get kind of almost relive my childhood in a way. It's always lighthearted to a certain extent. I don't know, maybe some nostalgia, but Mario's always gonna have like that place in my gamer heart. So
Um, I guess something I should have thought about, but like, well, just to throw it out there, when we get to our high score Olympics, would it be fair if you were to like? I just thought about it, but like, even if the game's not announced, could you technically just say my choice for number 3, my number 3 pick is going to be a Mario game that comes out this year? Like, would that count? Or could you say my pick is some random Zelda game I
no,
think that's going to
too
come out?
vague. You have to know.
You have to know what game
we
it
can
is.
talk more about it as we get to the Olympics section, but no, I think we have
I
to
just
be a
want to
little
throw that
more
idea
explicit for that.
idea out while we're talking about Mario.
No. Any
Oh,
other comments about Wonder?
no, are you any more excited to play it, gamer, or any less?
I like Mario games in general. I just didn't get the money to be able to buy it. Like usually, I'm always on top of it. Phoenix knows I'm like, I should have gotten it day one,
Mm-hmm.
like when it came out. He already knows I'm huge on it. But I didn't get a chance to, so I'll get around to it when I can.
Well, like I
I
said,
know it's gonna be
Still
fun.
gonna be there.
They're always fun, no matter how you slice it. Every Mario game I've ever played has been really good.
mm-hmm.
So I mean, except for All Stars for the Wii. But other than that, that's a different story. But yeah, I'm always excited to play a Mario game. So.
Okay. Well, like I said, next time you're down, you can borrow my copy. Phoenix already has my RPG, so.
Yeah, I'll beat it one day maybe.